What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and this really should come as a shock to pretty much nobody, right? Everyone kind of knew what a disaster this season was, to say the least. There is a ton of stuff that went wrong this season. Everything that should have gone wrong did go wrong this season, and it's now official. The Boston Red Sox have been officially and statistically eliminated from postseason contention. Again, not that they were in postseason contention anytime recently, but it is kind of poetic that the Red Sox lose their postseason contention status the same weekend that they are swept by the New York Yankees. And to be honest with you, I don't really want to talk about all the negative stuff that happened in this series, because there was a ton of negative stuff that happened in this series, but at the same time too, now these games officially do not matter. So instead of being negative Nelly this entire video, instead let's focus on the good things that happened in this series. Let's highlight the good in this series, because why not, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through everything that happened in this New York Yankees series. We're going to talk about the good things that happened in this series, because there were good moments. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the offensive highlights from this series, and if we're going to talk about offense, we have to start with Tristan Casas, who had 2 home runs in this series, one in the first game and one in the third game. Now, Tristan Casas has had a little bit of a rough time being able to consistently make contact with pitches at the big league level, but everything else about him has been absolutely electric. His defense, his power, his eye at the plate, right? It's essentially just his whiff rate that needs to come down, and when that does come down, he is going to be an absolute monster. This is a kid that I truly believe has the potential to be an elite hitter at the major league level, and I'm super excited to watch him develop. But either way, 2 home runs in this series. Love the fact that he is a Yankee killer as well. And speaking of Yankee killers, Reese McGuire also had 2 home runs in this series in the exact same game, in the first game and the third game of this series. And I talked about Tristan Casas being a Yankee killer. Reese McGuire exclusively hits home runs against the New York Yankees in a Red Sox uniform, and I'm totally okay with that, regardless of whether or not we play them less times next year. That's just super funny to me. Thank you, Reese McGuire, for only hitting home runs against the Yankees. But on a serious note, this was a fantastic pickup by Chaim Bloom. Even if Reese McGuire ends up as the backup catcher going into 2023, that is an extremely solid backup catcher, especially with what he is doing at the plate, both behind it and at the plate this season since he's come to the Boston Red Sox. He's hitting over 350, I believe, still, so he's been absolutely fantastic to watch, and I'm excited to see where he ends up for this 2023 team. Tommy Pham had a home run in this series as well. I'm not entirely sure where I stand on Tommy Pham coming back to the Boston Red Sox. I could see him coming back as a 4th outfielder, but I would prefer Rob Refsnyder. Either way, it was a great swing. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you want Tommy Pham back for another season, or do you want to go another route? Alex Verdugo had a 3-run bomb in this series as well, and I say this literally every time he hits a home run in any series, is he has the most beautiful home run swing in all of baseball. You could tell that thing is gone the second it hits his bat. He is just a ton of fun to watch. He also had a game-tying single in this series, and all in all, he has been on an absolute tear this last month and a half of the season. Now obviously these games mean nothing, so that kind of does mean nothing as well, but if he can bring that back into 2023, we could be seeing a whole new Alex Verdugo, and one that is way more dominant at the plate, especially with the shift change. All in all, there were a lot of home runs in this series, something that the Red Sox have been lacking throughout this entire year, and one of the reasons they find themselves in this position come this time of year. But at the same time too, I know these games don't mean anything, but to see the Red Sox put good swings on the ball, regardless of the fact that they are playing in the sandlot that is Yankee Stadium, and putting the ball out of the yard, is a ton of fun to watch, and it makes the last 10 games of this season enjoyable and bearable to watch. So let me know what you think about the offense down below, and what do you think about the last couple of games in regards to the offense? What storylines are you guys looking for the last couple of games of this year in terms of offensive production? Let's talk about the pitching in this series as well. The biggest upside of this series for the Red Sox pitching staff is that they didn't give up Aaron Judge's 61st 61st or 62nd home runs. They gave up a lot of home runs in this series, don't get me wrong, to basically everybody else. Giancarlo, Gleyber Torres, Aaron Hicks, Anthony Rizzo, right? Basically the entire Yankee lineup got a home run except for Aaron Judge, so that's actually pretty funny. And I'm going to say that is a win for this Red Sox pitching staff. Anyways, Michael Wacha got the ball in game 1. He had a pretty decent start. He ended up going 6 innings, allowing 3 runs and striking out 5. I go back and forth with Michael Wacha and Nate Eovaldi as to who I want on this team next year, and this week it is Michael Wacha. I really do think that even if his peripherals aren't exactly fantastic and there's going to be some regression there, having this guy in the 4 or 5 hole spot of your rotation is absolutely fantastic. He's a workhorse. He does great things for this team. So this week, I want Michael Wacha back on this Red Sox team over Nate Eovaldi. Rich Hill had a decent outing, I guess. He went 5 innings, allowed 4, and struck out 4 as well. I went from being curious about this signing of Rich Hill to hating Rich Hill to loving Rich Hill, and now I just kind of admire Rich Hill, right? He's only got, what, 1, maybe 2 more starts left this year, and he's not coming back next year, so I'm just admiring his starts, enjoying the way that he pitches and doesn't just blow by people. I'm enjoying the last couple starts from Rich Hill. I don't know what else to say. He's a very decent pitcher for what we paid. And yeah, we're going to get outings like this that we saw in New York almost every single time he's on this mound. Nick Pivetta had kind of a wild game. Yes, he went 5 innings. Yes, he gave up 5 runs, but he also struck out the most people from a starting pitcher of this entire series, and that was 8. I don't know how to feel about this. I guess I'll give him the decent start label for this start because he did end up with the most strikeouts, but he also gave up a ton of runs. And I guess, too, at the same point, he's also been really bad against the Yankees specifically, but the AL East in general this year. So yeah, this was a decent outing from Nick Pivetta, a guy who has been truly a workhorse for this team and has kind of gone under the radar in terms of workhorseness, if that's a word, this entire year. So shout out Nick Pivetta, I guess. He had a decent start against the New York Yankees. Brayan Bello finished this series off, a little bit of help from the weather, but he ended up going 6 innings, allowing only 1 singular run and striking out 4. You guys know what I think of Brayan Bello. I'm not going to go into an absolute in detail development process stuff, talking about how he could probably be the ace of the Boston Red Sox in a couple of years. But again, the best start from one of our starting pitchers this entire series came from the 22-year-old Brayan Bello, and that's really, really impressive. That's all I'm going to say because, again, you guys know where I stand on Brayan Bello. He is the future ace of the Boston Red Sox. And he also did this in the middle of a thunderstorm. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about the future of Brayan Bello. As for the bullpen, it was fine, right? And the one thing I do want to talk about of the bullpen is Zach Kelly. I think Zach Kelly has truly earned a spot on this 2023 roster in the bullpen. I really do think so. He was absolutely fantastic in this series. His changeup is absolutely electric, and I really do think he could be a staple in this bullpen. Other than that, everyone kind of looked ground to a halt, right? They look like they need an ice bath for 24 hours. Matt Strahm gave up runs. John Schreiber gave up runs. But I guess that's what happens when you drag the barely alive body that was the bullpen through the entire 150 games. Either way, the bullpen was fine. Like I said, we all know the status of the bullpen. I'm not going to get too in depth into what went wrong and what went right. At this point, we all know exactly what that is. All in all, this series, it is what it is, right? The games don't officially matter. It doesn't mean anything to us as to whether or not we win or lose. And the Red Sox being officially eliminated, honestly, is a little bit of a relief. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous because the Red Sox have been out of contention for a very long time, but just because I love the Red Sox so much, every time they would get a little bit hot or they'd win, what, 2 out of 3 games or something like that, I'd be like, maybe, just maybe, right? Now it's okay. Now I completely understand that this season is over and we can start focusing on 2023 and beyond. I'm still obviously going to do these recap videos, but we're going to start talking more and more about what this 2023 season is going to look like for the Boston Red Sox. Either way, though, before we do any of that, let me know what you guys think of all this. What do you think of the Red Sox officially being eliminated from the postseason? Let me know what you guys think of officially being swept by the New York Yankees. Let me know all your thoughts on the series and season and postseason down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, again, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end of this video, you might as well hit that button. You might as well hit the like button as well. Helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.